Exclusive, startling data on the province's child welfare system. Internal government data shows, on average, a child involved with Ontario's care network dies every 3 days. Worse, in some cases, the province doesn't know the cause. But the Ford government says it is auditing the entire system, looking for misspent funds. We had a conversation with Global's Isaac Callan about his in-depth reporting at Queen's Park. Isaac, you've been investigating children's aid societies for years. Some of this data is really stark. Take us through what you found.
Well, it's what we found and what we didn't find. The data, there's two big takeaways, I would say. The first is just the sheer number of children associated with Ontario's care system who died. Between 2020 and 2022, there was a recorded deaths of 354 children associated with children's aid, either living under its care with an open file or had a file closed in the last 12 months. We took that data to the NDP, to the critic in charge of the file, someone who knows this inside out, and even she said she was shocked.
I'm mortified. I had no idea that this many kids were dying who have been in care, involved with care, or somewhat around that system. So I think this number is absolutely terrifying.
Then there's also what this data doesn't tell us that's raising alarm bells for advocates. Of the 354 deaths that were recorded, more than 100, roughly a third, were unsolved, meaning the province doesn't know why children it was caring for or were on its radar have died, and that's something that's really concerned advocates.
That's unbelievable. So the province has been trying to overhaul the system now for years. What are they trying to do this time, and do they have an idea of how long it's going to take?
So there's a couple of timelines at play here. The first started about 4 years ago when the Ford government announced children's aid, a complete reform of how the system works. That's something that's still ongoing. And then last month, Premier Ford in August said that he was announcing an audit of the system as well, something his office hinted would be a little more financial. The thing is that we don't really know where either of those processes are at. We don't know how much has been found out so far. We don't know what still needs to be learned. We don't know when those conclusions will be made public. We asked the minister where he was at with this audit. We asked him how much had been done, and he couldn't answer that exactly, although he did point to some legislation that he thinks is relevant. Take a listen.
Passed the bill, the Supporting Children's Future Act, which brought in more supports, more oversight, more accountability, and certainly administrative monetary penalties that weren't existed. We want to make sure that children and youth are supported and are getting the care to succeed and thrive. And
how far through that redesign would you say you are? They launched 4 years ago, what, 2030?
Look, I'll tell you this, we're talking about protecting children and youth in our province. We're always going to look at ways of improving that.
Okay, so clearly not a lot of answers from the minister. Isaac, here's what I don't understand. You were able to uncover the rate of death in the system using the province's own figures. So what is there for the Ford government to investigate here?
I mean, there's certainly valid questions. There are things that the province does need to learn the answer to. But if you talk to advocates, they say there's already enough data to start solving those problems. And it's time for the province to, by all means, keep studying the issue, but take action now and not at the end of an audit which they don't know when it'll necessarily wrap up.
We have ample data to show that we are failing our children. There is clear evidence that children are not cared for and protected, that the system is failing them, and that we need to do better.
So as you can hear, Colin, advocates frustrated with that line that it's being looked at, the idea that a review is underway, and looking to see some really tangible action from the government and not just be told that they're working on it.
Okay, and you will, of course, keep investigating children's aid societies and the Ford government's investigation into it. That's Global's Isaac Callan. Thank you.